Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Good morning, fellow badasses, and welcome to Friday, December 5th, as we are going to be talking about the law of compensation today. And to tell you, this has been a very hectic past couple of weeks. Just a lot of stuff going on, and I know I ended up getting everything posted rather late last night. And then I appreciate everyone. I see, multiple people that have signed up already and people that are coming in. So I just want to thank you. And I think that just sort of goes to one of the things that we'll also be talking about today. A part of this law is consistency, resilience. You guys know that I'm going to show up. And that I think is a part of today's lesson as well, is as we show up and how we show up ends up bringing what it is that you need in your life. And that's what we're really going to talk about today. So I want to say hello to a couple of people. So let me get in here and see who has joined. So it looks like we have Heather. Heather says, hello all, and I hope you're all having a badass Friday. Yes. Definitely a badass Friday. And I do see some other people on, so let me know that you are here. Say hello. I'm also monitoring the LinkedIn page as well, just to see if we're having any issues. Interestingly enough, I don't see that comment from Heather on LinkedIn, so maybe it'll show up here in a second. But as we are thinking about the law of compensation, we're coming into the holidays. We just had Thanksgiving. And I don't know about you, but Thanksgiving always gives me a time to sort of be grateful and thankful for the things that I have in my life. And one of the things that I've really been reflecting upon lately is, as you're manifesting or as you're looking at the things that you're wanting in your life, it's also important to step back and reflect and to look at the things that you do have. And I just told my daughter this morning, sorry, I'm getting choked up. I told her, as we go through things, one of the things that's really important to me is just having her and Jay in my life. And I think as we go through things, as we go through trying things, it's being grateful for those things that we do have in our life. And we're going to talk about that. And apparently I need to get this out. So apparently I need to cry today. And so thank you for bearing with me and maybe crying with me. So thank you for that. So Miss Kim. Okay. So I have to take a moment to talk about Miss Kim. So give me a second. Miss Kim, she is one of the most giving people that I know. She shows up just in the most beautiful way. She just really loves my daughter, and every birthday, she always gives her something. And my daughter is just always so thrilled when she sees a package that Miss Kim has left for her, whether it's balloons or just candy, things like that. And it's things like this that we're really going to be talking about is as you give more in life, the more you receive. And it's people like Kim, people that surround you. And I just want to say how amazing it is to have people like that in your life. And I just wanted to take a moment just to say how badass you are and how amazing you are, Kim. And she was even like, "Hey, I wanted to give your daughter some Bluey stuff, but I couldn't remember if that was her." And she had bought that for her. And my daughter loves Bluey. We were talking about how she's still such a kid at heart, but yet she's also growing up to be such an amazing young lady. And so I just wanted to say thank you to Miss Kim. She says, "Good morning and happy Friday to an amazing and badass friend." And so back at you, Miss Kim. Uh, Joel also coming in saying good morning. He says, tuning in on a nice snowy morning here in Virginia. So we were supposed to get some snow, but it ended up just being the rain, as you one would expect in Atlanta. So it did not make it to us. So I would love to see a photo of that if you add it to the company cooler, or even added into this post if you're able to, just to be able to have others see the snow. That's one of the things that I always enjoyed, seeing the snow whenever I lived back in Missouri, but it was one of those things that you soon wanted to not be around it, and wanted to not be around the snow as it continued, just because of the cold and things like that. But there are such amazing things about the snow that one does miss, being down in Atlanta. And then Miss Heather is coming in. She says, gratitude is an important way to keep a positive attitude through difficult times, for certain. That is so true. And I love, all of the different things that you provide, Miss Heather. You show up, you provide some really good comments for everyone. And I just love that about you. So thank you for coming and joining us each time, and just for your thoughtful comments that you provide. Abbas coming in. He says, hi, good morning. It's great to see you, Abbas. I hope you're doing well. It's always great to see you as well. Miss Lisa says, happy Friday, beautiful badasses. Yes, back at you, Miss Lisa. Thank you for joining us today. Miss Kim. Oh, Heather said thank you. And then Miss Kim giving her heart. And so thank you for that. And so, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was struggling like this before, like the law of compensation. I don't know. It's just a lot of things have been going on. So I really had to pull upon the law of compensation as I was sort of developing today's content for it. And I'll tell you that I think today's lesson is actually more for me. And so I do hope that you guys learn from this as well. There are certain aspects of the law of compensation that I think I do really, really well, and we'll talk about those. There are other areas that I'm continuing to sort of reflect on, how can I do better in this particular area? And I hope that that's what you guys will get from this as well, is that it really is about reflection and understanding and growing. And that's what you'll see as we talk further about the law of compensation. So if anyone else is coming in, please say hello. I love to see your name here, even if you just say hello. I do know that J. Rowe, for example, said she wouldn't be able to be on today. I just want to give a special hello to her, and also just let her know that, I think today's topic will also be very fitting for her. And I also would like to ask that people just send her some well wishes. She has some things that she's going through and some tough times. And she needs some really good positive vibes from everyone. So if you can do that for her, she is always so upbeat coming from Florida in the Sunshine State. She needs a little sunshine from us. Bryce is joining us bright and early in Portland. And so happy Friday to you, Bryce, as well. And so let's get into it. So today's topic is about the law of compensation, but it's really also about a journey of giving and receiving as well. And so I really am excited about today's topic because I think that it provides profound impacts on our life. And the law of compensation is really to help us multiply our successes by aligning our life with this essential universal concept. So, what is the law of compensation? So, this particular principle isn't just a philosophical concept. It's a foundational element of our reality. And the law of compensation really reflects the principle of cause and effect. And we talked about that one earlier in the year, but it suggests that we receive in kind what we give to the world. And it states you get back what you put out in abundance. So, whatever we get back. And many times people will say tenfold. And really, by performing this act of kindness and good deeds, that we will then receive in return a positive return in whatever it is. Now, keep in mind that um, we'll talk about this. The positive return isn't necessarily money, and we're going to talk about that today. And the opposite we also need to think about is that when we are giving out negative actions, the same applies. So if we're performing acts of not so nice or not so good deeds, then all of a sudden that will multiply as well and come back to us. And so as you start to think about this, give what you want to receive. But also, I think the key thing with the law of compensation is to do it without expectations. And I think that one of the things that I was taught early on is, especially with like family and friends, when someone asks for money, you give it with no expectations. So like don't give it as a loan. That's one of the things that I learned, is because you'll be destined to be disappointed. And so as you think about the law of compensation today, think about that as well. In what it is that you give, you have to do it without expectations, and it also has to come true and from the heart. So ultimately, be kind, inspire, and motivate others, knowing that this law will return whatever you give into life. And I want to sort of dive in a little bit more about this particular law. And so every action really has a reaction. And so think about it. Every choice sends a ripple into the universe. So when you act, you're not just moving through life, you're influencing your existence. So if we were to drop a stone in a still pond, the water sends out waves. And those small actions, whether big or small, create similar waves throughout society. And so reflect on life. What waves have your actions created? And are they leading you towards the life that you truly desire as well? The other thing that we need to think about is every effort has a reward. So think about the effort that you put into your relationships, your career, or your passions. Are you sowing those seeds that you're expecting nothing in return, or are you hoping for immediate fruit? And I think that that is the biggest thing, is that sometimes the universe is going to test our patience. And I can tell you, the universe has definitely been testing my patience, actually probably for a couple of years, and sometimes it can be even longer. So consider, are you willing to wait for that harvest of that seed, or do you seek instant gratification? Because the law of compensation makes sure that we're ready for it. And what that means is we might need some other lessons along the way in order to really be prepared for whatever that compensation, the end result is. And this isn't always immediate and obvious. So ask yourself, are you recognizing the rewards that already surround you? And so that's why I started off today sort of emotional. I'm going through some things. I have things that I'm working on. But I also had to stop and go, you know what? I also need to be grateful for what it is that I have. And I stopped and I said, okay, what is something that's really, really important to me, things that really, really matter to me? And that's when my daughter and my husband came to mind. And they're the people in my life that really help nurture me and help um, expand me in a lot of ways. And also what I'm going through and the things that I'm working to manifest, they're also working me as well. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that it deeper today. In sometimes you don't always get exactly what it is that you're wanting, and it's digging in and finding out what it is that you're wanting to reap, why it is that maybe it's not coming as quickly as you're wanting. So what efforts are you currently underestimating that could propel you further? So think about that as you're desiring certain things in your life. Let's go real quick to the comments section. Heather is adding something in here, so let's pull that up. She says, trying to see it on the big screen. Give me a second. All right. The easiest way to end up in a frustrating situation is to ask God, the universe, for more patience, because you will be sent situations to test it. Oh, yes. You really do have to be aware of what it is that you're asking for, because sometimes it'll come to you in ways that you weren't really expecting it. And this was one of the things that I heard recently is, I'm looking for, universe, I want to be strong. I want to have strength. Well, sometimes then it's going to test you. It's going to make you go through things to then demonstrate that you have strength to survive. So sometimes those things come in sort of different ways than we expected. And so as we start to look at the things that we are investing time in, every investment reaps its own personal profit. And so investments aren't limited to finances. It also includes your time, your energy, and compassions are really forms of capital. So if you ask yourself, what are you investing in and what returns have you experienced? So think about that. What are you currently investing in, and then what returns have you experienced? And are those returns in alignment with your values and your desires? And have you ever stopped to evaluate the emotional returns from your relationships? So one of the things that I look at and that I think is also important is the return of those relationships that you have. Are you nurturing connections that uplift and enrich your life, or are you pouring into drains? So thinking about those individuals that are around you, that's how you continue to elevate, is by also understanding the people that you surround yourself with as well. So, as we explore this idea, I want to invite you to dig deeper and ponder these questions. And I'd love to hear what you guys say. How often do you consider the repercussions of your actions? And so, the things that you put out there, what is it that you're getting in return? And are you getting back in return the things that you're actually putting out there? This is one of the things that I've continued to really reflect upon in myself. And so things that you're frustrated with, the things that are coming to you and you're frustrated with, we have to stop and reflect. Well, what am I putting out there? Am I putting out stuff that then is bringing that back? And so think about that. Also, can you recall a situation where just a simple act of kindness came back to you in an unexpected way? And how did it make you feel? So recently, I was with my daughter. We were going through the I can't remember, I think it was Starbucks, or I can't remember. We were somewhere and I was getting some food and I think drinks, I think it was Starbucks. And my the person goes, "Oh, I need to confirm what it is that you got. Can you tell me what it is you got?" And I was like, "Well, that's weird." So I told him what it is that I got. And then I was giving him my credit card and he goes, no, it's already taken care of. Now, here's what's funny is I have done this multiple times in my life. I've actually never had it happen back to me. And so I was like, oh, wow. I was like, the universe is telling me my meal is free. And I think this was on Christmas. And I was planning on giving the guy like a big tip. And then I wasn't able to because I didn't have any cash. And so I was like, well, that's weird. I had in mind that I was going to give this guy a big tip because here we are going on freaking Christmas. I think it was Starbucks to go get something. And instead, I ended up getting something. And so I just thought that that was so weird. And I have done that multiple times, but I turned to my daughter. I was like, oh, that's the first time that that's ever happened to me. And so I then offered the person behind me and they go, oh no, they paid through the mobile app. They've already have it paid. And I was like, oh, well, I guess Merry Christmas to me. And so we ended up taking off. And so I found, just that simple act of kindness just really got to me that day. I just found it just such a lovely feeling. And so have you ever had something like that that has happened to you? Let me pull up the comments. I see Jesse has also joined us as well. So Jesse says, my energy investments are the ones I watch most. Yes, I think, understanding what we are investing our energy in, so if we're investing it in complaining about other people or gossiping about other people, guess what's going to happen to us? If we're investing in people and giving to people and giving of our time, which Jesse does a lot, then a lot of that comes back. And so let's see what he says next. He said, the investments that have provided me with the greatest returns, more reallocations, meaning I stopped investing time and energy in the things that suck the life out of me. And I think that you also get, because I've heard you talk about this, is that when you have given, like you do a lot of you've done free things, those things have also returned to you as well. And I think that that's also important to understand, is that we have to be willing to give freely as well. But we also have to be mindful of, I guess, the people that just are there to suck the life out of us as well. We really want to surround ourselves with the people that are continuing to help elevate us. And so Heather says, I consider the repercussions almost daily. It's become a natural part of my thought process ever since I truly became aware of how small actions on my part cause ripples. So thank you so much for that. I love that. And I think that that's an important thing, a part of the law of compensation to really think about and reflect about. And so one of the things that I think is really important that I want to dive into first on the law of compensation is talking about the things that we're also wanting. And so the law of compensation states that the amount of money or rewards you earn is closely related to specific factors. And so your income is determined by how many people you serve and also how well you serve them. And I'll talk specifically about money at the end of the show. So I'm giving you a little, I guess a little teaser to stay on, because we're going to talk about some really good stuff here at the end. But I want to talk about some of the other things first. And so I had a wise mentor tell me, you're either earning or learning. And when I reflected upon that, I was like, ooh, I really like that, because that's really important when we're coming out of college and things like that, that we have to understand that when we're starting over and when we're trying something new, we're learning. But that will eventually come in a later way to us, where we're really reaping the benefits of what it is that we've learned. And what I tend to find is people that focus on money, they focus on, oh, I don't have enough. And that's really sort of scarcity mode mindset. So in a world that's like perpetually buzzing with excess, it really is striking how deeply ingrained scarcity thinking can prevent us from fully embracing the law of compensation. And that scarcity mode really traps us in a mindset that shouts, there's not enough to go around. And it really just fuels anxiety about the future, making us hesitant to give and share for fear of losing something vital for us. And so I'd like for you to consider some things. What if the key to abundance lies in the very act of giving? And so think about that. A scarcity mode blinds us to the truth that generosity breeds opportunity. And when we cling tightly to what we have, whether it's time, resources, or even love, we inadvertently create a cycle of lack. And this mindset can suffer our potential and hinder our ability to receive. And so Jesse also said, yes, invest in who you got. Yes. And it's you. You have to invest in you to be able to get what it is that you're wanting in life. And what tends to hold us back is, are we willing to let go of the fear of not having enough? Every time you reach out to help others, you assert your belief in abundance and you open the door to new possibilities, relationships, skills, and opportunities. And otherwise, those would remain locked if you stayed holed up in your scarcity fortress. And so think about that. When we are so scared that we won't have enough, we're then clinging to what it is that we have, which actually is creating the opposite of what we're actually wanting. So I hope you can recognize the irony that the more that you clutch your possessions and opportunities, the more you cultivate fear and isolation. Yet when we courageously engage with the world through acts of generosity, we pave the way for the universe to respond in kind. And so how often do you question your own worth? And so this goes back to what, Jesse was saying. It is about us. But scarcity mode draws attention to what you perceive as lacking, overshadowing that unique contribution that we can actually make. And so by redefining our approach to abundance, we can reclaim our power and we can recognize that our efforts will indeed compensate us in ways that we might never have imagined. And we talked about this on the last episode where we talked about the law of a manifestation, law of attraction. And so we talked about that sometimes the universe has bigger plans for us. And so we just have to continue to give, but also be mindful of, are we giving it from a heart-centered perspective? Are we giving it without expectations? So we also have to be mindful of how we also are giving. So if you hear nothing more in this live stream, I want you to take time to ask yourself questions related to what you fear. And so in moments of stillness, when the noise of the world fades away, we often confront our most profound fears. So by engaging with those fears, by spending some time reflecting and having introspection, we open the door to insights. So here's how you can expand this and think about what it is that you fear. So how do you identify your fears? And this relates to related to money as well. So think about that. Think about what it is that you fear in life. I want to take a moment. I'm going to take some water. I want you to identify and think about the things that you really are fearful of. So as you do that, the real fundamental question is, what do I truly fear? Is it fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown? So naming the fear can demystify them and significantly reduce the power that it has over you. After you identify what the fear is, ask yourself, where does this fear come from? And understanding the roots of our anxiety can provide that clarity of how it is that we can actually deal with it. And are they based on past experiences, societal expectations, or maybe they're just self imposed limitations, things that we've said we're not allowed to be able to feel, things we're not allowed to be able to believe. So think about that. And as we start to get into money, we start to think about things like, I'm not allowed to be greedy. I'm not allowed to be XYZ. So think about those things. So think about the things you're wanting and then think about, is it based on past experiences, how you might think society thinks about you, or are you putting some type of limitation on yourself? And exploring this is really going to reveal the patterns that can be addressed and allow you to be able to change and end up creating abundance. And this is important to really focus on because without doing this part, you won't get the next part. You won't reap the benefits. So consider the consequences. So reflect on the fear and ask the question, what is the worst thing that could happen if I faced this fear? So let's take this for example. I have to, I have put it on myself to present to you, and I'm giving back. I'm trying to, not only help myself, but I'm also looking to help others. But a part of that, it required me to face the fear of doing a live stream by myself. And I know that for you guys that you may look at me and go, Sarah, like seriously, you could probably talk forever. But it actually was one of the things that actually I was like, I'm not sure I can do it. Like I'm used to asking questions. I'm used to, interacting with people. How do I just sit there and have a conversation with myself? And so it was one of the things that I feared. But then I asked myself, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? I, I don't know. I could cut it short. I could just sit here and blubber, and people might think certain things about me. I don't know. I mean, but whenever I really started to think about it, uh, there was nothing that really kept me from wanting to move forward. And so think about it. Sometimes we imagine outcomes that seem far worse than the reality. And when we actually put what it is we think might happen, we then go, oh, you know what? I don't know. It's really not so bad. I can handle that. And so we can realize that while fear feels powerful, it often exaggerates the risk involved. And this is what really keeps a lot of times people from moving forward and reaping the benefits that they're really looking for. So challenge yourself with, what opportunities am I missing by holding on to this fear? And then that fear can be that cage that keeps us from pursuing new experiences, relationships, or growth. And so by recognizing that potential of that missed opportunity, we then may feel motivated to step beyond our comfort zone. And this is one of the things that I talk to my daughter all the time about. And I'm like, well, just ask them, just go do it. Just, I'm like, what's the problem? And she's like, Mom, you just don't understand. I know you can't reflect on what it's like to be in high school again. I'm like, no, I understand. I get it. I'm also, beyond that. I get that. I get that you have to grow and you have to get there as well, and that you are concerned about what other people think. And that is a part of the growing experience as well. All right, so let's see. I think I have some new comments that are coming in as well. So let me go back real quick. Myra is joining us. She says, good morning. Good morning to you, Myra. Welcome from Tennessee. Heather also says, yes, Jesse. And what you recently said, we are who we've got. So we must invest in ourselves first in order to invest in others. Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well. Becoming a minimalist was a path that really helped me prevent scarcity mindset setting into my mind. Yeah. If thinking about those types of things, and this is one of the things that I've thought about, is that I didn't, I grew up probably mid-income, as far as my parents, but they were at the verge of probably any month potentially not having money, and but they were like, paycheck to paycheck, and really it wasn't even paycheck to paycheck probably for my dad, because my dad had a business, so it was, high in the summertime and low in the winter time, because it was the ice business. And so he had to really think about those things they had to do to save. Well, my dad, I don't think that he was really that into, like thinking beyond that. He was like, I got it in my pocket, therefore I got it. My mother, on the other hand, was like, hey, we have to save. So she got him in the habit. Like, we have to make sure that we're keeping money in the summertime when we're reaping a lot of that benefit, and then having it for the winter time. So think about that in your own life as well. As we are doing things, sometimes we might be making a lot of money, or we might have a lot of things. But what happens when we don't have it? And I think, to Heather's point, is that if we start to look at things like, could we be, minimalistic? Like, could I be, in this particular way, if something were to happen? And that mindset, and another good example is, let's say I'm fearful that I'm going to lose my job. Okay. Well, if you have done the work that you need to do to build up the skills that you need, then, you know, focusing on and understanding that you might end up getting something even better if you lost your job. And I have heard that time and time again from people that have lost their job, and, were fired, let go, things like that, that it ended up being the best thing. Sometimes the universe is nudging us for that better thing as well. So think about that as you are fearful about something. Think about what it is that maybe you should be doing now, the things that you should be investing in yourself to then be ready down the road when there might be scarcity, when there actually might be a time that you need to call upon those extra skills or that saved money that you have. And so it's those types of things that you also have to be mindful of as well. Heather also said, I used to have every fear that you mentioned, but I no longer fear those things. I think my only fear now is not having what I need to live comfortably in my old age. But we have worked on a plan and are actively working to plan to ensure that it is not an issue. Yes. So it's that action that you're taking as well. And she said, I completely understand why you had the fear of doing the live stream by yourself. Just because I'm talkative with others doesn't mean that I can talk to a camera for an hour. Good for you for doing the thing you feared anyways. So thank you for that. All right, we have Maria joining us. She said, I made it a little bit. And so thank you for joining us, Maria. We're going to continue to dive into the law of compensation. And we talked a little bit about scarcity mode and fears and those things, and the things we need to understand related to fear. And so the last thing that I want you to focus on related to fear, we talked about thinking about the opportunities that we're potentially missing, but now engage in visualization. What would my life look like if I weren't afraid? Picture a version of yourself that approaches life with confidence and without fear. And then imagine reality can serve as a powerful motivation and a motivator to take steps, however small, towards overcoming that fear. And then the last thing is really to focus on those strengths. So, what strengths do I have that can help me face that fear? So, this is what I just talked about. And remind yourself of the moments of resilience and courage. And by acknowledging your strengths, you empower yourself to confront and overcome that anxiety that you feel. And through the act of questioning and really diving in deeper to our fear, it's that will impact our life. And this exploration not only leads us to personal growth, but also strengthens our capacity to really embrace the law of compensation, where giving and growth can flourish in the absence of fear. And so let's dig into the law of compensation also extends beyond monetary rewards. And it can also manifest in various ways that really enrich our life. So, what are ways that you have received that were not money? And I was going to go deeper into this, but I think I'm going to focus just briefly on some of these things instead and really get to some of the other core things a little bit later. So, think about other ways that the law of compensation manifests in your life. And so think about skills. What new avenues or opportunities are opened for you through helping others? And so think about those things that you could do that you could gain more skills. So everything from mentorship roles, like helping someone else out. So, for example, I've helped multiple college grads or younger individuals that are looking to get into careers and things like that. Voluntary work. So, for example, one of the things that I ended up volunteering for was my HOA. It gave me a lot of skills that I would not have had. I had to learn more about finances because I became also the treasurer. I was the president. I had to deal with people that were ungrateful for you volunteering your time and learning how to have that conversation with them and understanding what it is that they're upset about. And then how is it that you can have that conversation with them to be able to get them to potentially volunteer themselves. So it developed a lot of great skills to be able to help me with leadership later on. Think about problem solving. So helping others that, it might require some creative thinking. So thinking about people that might be in need and how it is that you can help them with unexpected challenges. So, someone that that, one of the people early on with my live stream I helped was someone that was homeless. And that was quite an amazing experience to be able to go through. I learned a lot. I also learned things of what it is that I really couldn't do, things that I thought that I could do to be able to help someone, and how it really requires the other person to really have that mindset as well. But I do think that there were things that help them. Sometimes you give little breadcrumbs, and so they don't get everything all at once. So think about things that you can do to also help people through problem solving or just, serving others. It also builds empathy. And I talked about that with the board. So building empathy, but also being able to also set boundaries as well. And so all of these different types of skills can help you with building better relationships, improving conflict, being able to resolve them, and then just having more of meaningful understanding of challenges that others face, and really having that empathy for them. And so reflect on how your past contributions, whether big or small, have shaped your abilities. So things that you have done. Another example would be prior to becoming an owner, I ended up spending 16 hours a day helping to transition our company. I was not an owner at that time, but I dedicated time. I also told the owner at that time I was willing to invest my own money because I was so adamant that branding needed to be done and it needed to be done correctly. And then he ended up investing his money because he was like, if it's that important to you, then this is something that we need to do. So think about those things that you have invested your time on, and then the things that you reaped benefit from later on as well. And so building up our skills is one of the key things that really helps us down the line. I have another comment coming in. So Maria said, in my 7 years of serving builders, I have learned and continue to learn exponentially daily. It's incredible the opportunities that come from the curiosity of the data and serving others. Yes, I love that, Maria. Really, serving others is really a lot of times how we're going to gain more and more insight to ourselves and also gain those skills. And then the other thing that comes is really confidence building. So how often do you take notes of the growth after, giving of your skills or things like that, or acknowledging your growth that you have achieved? And so every time you extend your hand to help someone else, you're also inviting growth within yourself. So reflecting on that and how it is that it helped you. So think about things that you have done, maybe a successful project that you did. Have you ever taken the lead on a community project or an initiative? And after successfully completing that project, how did you feel about yourself? And what is it, the skills that you also learned from that as well? So take a moment to really reflect on the challenges that you faced and understand the things that you learned and grew from, and the confidence that you built up, and helping you with your self-esteem. I know that I have an individual here that, one of the things that I had given this person is I had something that I thought that they could do. And they were like, no, I'm not, I'm concerned about all the things that, what that involves. And then we just broke it down, I was like, okay, well, let's just look at it. You know how to do this already. So now we just got to work on the next thing. And so by doing those things in making a plan and how it is that you can attack what it is that you're wanting to accomplish, and just doing them in smaller increments, that's when you start to build up that confidence. And that's one of the things that this person ended up gaining is, hey, I can do it. And sometimes it's having someone else recognize that possibility in you, and then taking the challenge and taking it forward and doing that. And so think about the new experiences that you also gain from those things as well, and things that you're exposed to. So let's say traveling, for example, that's a new experience. And so think about the other things that you gain from that. You gain, understanding more about other cultures. You understand, maybe it's also, networking and building a relationship with people, not just in the United States, but beyond. And those things also continue to reinforce that self-confidence of understanding more about the world. And then I also want you to focus on understanding your overall value. So consider and realize that, understanding your worth through your contribution. So when you give selflessly and see the impact of your actions, it can really be uplifting, and uplifting not only for you, but to someone else. And it's really a powerful reminder of the value that we can provide in the world. And so, how does this understanding transform the way that you view yourself? Because each act of generosity acts as a building block in constructing that image, that self image that we have about ourselves. As we start to look at also connecting with people, we also build stronger bonds with people. So, are the connections you're fostering genuine or rooted in expectation? And this is one of the things that is very important to understand is when you're building that connection with someone, is it really rooted in genuine connection with that person, or are you wanting something from that person? And so think about that as well. Are you surrounding yourself with those that are truly uplifting your spirits, or are you engaging with individuals who you see as a means to an end? And so when someone reaches out to you, is it for support, or is it merely a transaction to gain something in return? And I think that that's important to think about. And when I reflect upon our company, one of the things that we have always stated, and it required us to have salespeople think about things in a little bit of a different way. I was like, look, if this isn't a good fit for the client, like we want to make sure that we're, letting them know that. because those things end up coming back to you. Because if you're selling something just to sell it and get the transaction to receive the money out of it, those things will then come back to you. What we have found is through business, even applying this principle to business can help you. That without looking, like, you have your goals and you sort of set them and you go, yep, here they are. But you just focus on serving. You focus on helping the client, helping them with what it is that they need, working in their best interest. Here recently, I'll give you another example. I went to the Deltec conference, and we recently had an individual that we were able to let them out of their contract without it negatively impacting our firm. So why wouldn't I do that? Why would I insist upon this person staying in their contract when they are struggling and they're also having things that they're going through? I also have another company that the person is on hospice and this individual is dying, yet they have a 3-year contract with us. We're probably going to have to pay Deltec for that one. We don't know whether they're going to let us out of our contract with them. And so, but when we reflected upon things for ourselves, last thing we wanted to do is go, hey, lady that is about to lose your husband, we would, still like you to pay this bill. And so it's reflecting upon, what it is we can give and how it is that we can give. And what ended up happening is the person that I let out of their contract, because we were able to, without any penalty in that particular case, it allowed us to build a better relationship. And it just so happened that the person that was connected to them was also working with another company and then wanted to do business with us. So because we were kind to this particular company, it ended up coming back to us in a different way. And so it's by doing what we want to see in society. It's treating others as we also would want to be treated, and thinking about those things that and how it is that we can also foster better connections by being authentic and not doing out of obligation, but understanding that we're not going to do it out of transaction. We're wanting to build, and we're wanting to build a better, relationship, but also just a better world as well. And so take the time to reassess, how you're investing your energy and the relationships that you're seeking, and how it is that you are impacting others in the things that you're doing. And so reflect on the quality of connections, the true relationships, and really focus on generosity, trust, and that mutual respect with each other. And that is how you continue to reap the rewards. All right. I want to dig a little bit further into some other things. I just wanted to give you some ideas of some of the things that you could do that are not necessarily money oriented. But I want to get into some other things as well. But as you start to think about the other ways that you reap rewards, think about just those doors that are opening, or maybe it's focusing on your mental health or the things that are coming back to you from a health perspective. So think about, in which areas of your life have you noticed rewards for the effort you've put in, and are those rewards what you expected? And if they weren't what you expected, reflect on that. Like, what else did you actually get maybe as well? And so let's focus in. I want to talk a little bit about some core concepts related to the law of compensation before we really get into the money side. And so the law of compensation encourages us to understand that the more we give, the more likely we're to receive. And so that's what we've been talking about. And the principle aligns closely with the well-known idea of karma. And so it's interesting. Sometimes people don't like that word. They don't like the word karma, or I don't know why. But it's really just about what you put out is what you're going to get back. And there's often something essential missing from many expressions of this principle. The notion of true giving may trigger receiving, but it's not just about those transactional exchanges. If everyone became affluent merely by giving, imagine how different our world would be. So let's think about the things that we need to prioritize. Giving is more satisfying than receiving, but only when we ensure that our own needs are met first. And that is one of the things that was said earlier, is that we have to be able to, uh, we can't give what we don't have. So it's essential to sustain, in order to sustain the source of being able to give to others, we have to first learn what it is that we need to be able to make a positive impact on lives. And that either allowing us to thrive in abundance or preventing us from doing so. So if we're constantly in that scarcity mode, or if we haven't invested in ourselves, in the things that are needed, we then can't give that away to others. So always remember, giving isn't merely a one-way street. It really is a cycle. So think of it more that way instead of like coming back and forth. It might come back to you in other ways, maybe from other people, and in other ways than you expected. And so I want to talk a little bit about some resources that I want to mention to have you go explore this particular topic a little bit more. So Ralph Waldo Emerson is a person to check out, that if you're wanting to learn more about the law of compensation, he really is the person that published in 1841 Compensation, and it talks further about this particular this overall principle. So I want to encourage you to go check out Ralph Waldo Emerson. I also want to encourage you to check out Bob Proctor. He has a lot of great videos that are on YouTube and different things like that. He is the author of You Were Born Rich, The ABCs of Success, and then Think and Grow the Legacy, which is really a collaboration which was related to the Napoleon Hill's famous work, who is also worth exploring as well. And then Dr. Martin Seligman, he's the father of positive psychology, and he really provides scientific backing through his research on happiness, but really, it's very much tied to the law of compensation. And his studies show a clear correlation between action and personal happiness. And then lastly, the Dalai Lama. They remind us that compassion and altruism play significant roles. And really, that is what allows us to be able, that, as we give, that is when we return in maybe different forms. It could be joy, fulfillment, just, overall purpose in what it is that we're wanting in life. So I just wanted to bring up those individuals, just if you're wanting to dig a little bit deeper into this topic, I think they're great resources to check out. And so, as I mentioned at the beginning, the law of compensation really suggests that whatever you give to the universe, be it love, kindness, resources, or energy, you will receive back in some form, often multiplied. And the principle operates under the belief that generosity fosters a cycle of abundance. And so I'd like you to reflect reflect on personal experiences. So think about your own life. When you have given without expectation of return. When have you given without expectation of return? And then what happened afterward? Did you find joy in the experience? Did it lead you to an unexpected reward or connection? And so really think about those types of things and how it is that you felt inside as you were giving. And so taking a moment to reflect on those questions can really deepen your understanding on how it operates in your life. And recognizing and embracing this principle may encourage you to give freely, fostering a cycle of generosity that not only enriches others, but also enhances our own life. And so let's dig into how do we apply the law of compensation in our everyday life. And so one of the things that I've talked about multiple times is focusing on genuine effort. So it's not about how much you give, but how meaningful it is. So ensure that your efforts in relationships, work, and goals are authentic and sincere. And I'll give you an example. We were on yesterday. One of the questions, we do questions a part of our AM calls. And Amy Balasan stated that for Christmas, her kids actually don't get presents. They actually focus on giving. And they focus on even sometimes the smallest little thing that you're able to give. And I was listening to someone else. I can't remember what it is that I was listening to, but they talked about, I can't remember if it was in that call or something else that I was listening to, but having just little things that you go to give. Oh, I know it was Wendy. She was talking about things that they gave to people at the nursing home. And it was just like a popsicle with, that they took, paper or like a paper plate, made it into a flower. So even like small things like that, like it seems like nothing, but sometimes people that need that just extra smile, it could be just smiling to them. So thinking about the things that you can do and that meaningful reaction and connection that you can have with people. It can be simple as opening the door for someone, saying hello to them, smiling to them. So just remember that it's quality over quantity. And then remember, authenticity matters. People can sense genuine intention. And this is one of the things that I have really found is recently we have had to have some very difficult conversations with people. And because we are approaching the conversation with genuine intentions of wanting to be able to help, understanding that there are things that we're going to have to do that maybe they're not really wanting to do, but it's time to take steps towards those things. But focusing on, okay, how can we help? How can we build a plan together? How can we, when people see that you're trying to help them and that it's not just like, hey, I just need to shove you through and, hey, just get on board. But like, hey, I want to be able to help you. Like, let's talk about this. People really sense that genuine intention and it helps ease them. And it ends up helping the overall situation. And there was another situation that I had where having a difficult conversation with a client, having that authenticity ended up helping with the conversation and understanding what it is that we needed, but also listening to what it is that they needed as well. Focusing on consistency and patience. So slow but steady wins the race. So understanding that your fruits of labor may not come immediately. And I got to tell you, that is the hardest thing ever. Sometimes, especially when it's like, okay, it's not just a month, it's not just a year, it just like, when is this happening? And so, you got to keep putting out positive energy without expecting instant rewards. And that is the hardest thing to do. And you have to develop a habit of consistency. This show is about to go on 4 years. And we have consistent individuals that continue to come. And, we have new people that come and go. And so it's continuing to look at how it is that you can continue to give and understanding that I have no expectation in how it is that what it is that's going to come to me from this. If anything, it has really helped me to be able to better present. It's helped me to feel more comfortable in just having a conversation and presenting all by myself. So think about it in that way, that sometimes it's other things that are coming to you rather than that compensation. And then maybe eventually the compensation will come as well. But it's having that consistency and that trust in the process. So maintaining the faith in the universal balance, remembering that every effort that we make towards our goal will add up. And even if you don't see that immediate result, your consistent actions are laying the groundwork for future success. And so, a part of giving and receiving is that balance and embracing the reciprocity. It's crucial to balance your giving with an openness to receive. And sometimes we hold back from accepting help and kindness from others out of our pride or maybe our self sufficiency. So, also understand and recognize that allowing others to give to you can be just as meaningful as our own contributions. And so engage with others by asking for their insights and opinions, really active, proactive listening to build a rapport. And then be aware of situations where you can receive without feeling guilty. And this may be include accepting compliments, advice, or assistance. And so acknowledging and accepting those gifts from others encourages a healthy flow of give and take in our life. And then just continue to self reflect, do regular check ins, and prioritize that authenticity. Are we acting out of obligation or genuine desire? And then be adaptable and evolve because the law of compensation might highlight areas of imbalance in our life. So be open to changing your contribution and recalibrating your goals based on what you reflect upon. That flexibility can lead to the profound personal growth that you might need. And then, as I started this show, acknowledging your gains. Make it a habit to recognize what you receive. Be in support, kindness, and even constructive criticism. So, taking stock of that good in your life reinforces that sense of abundance rather than the lack. Take time to express our genuine appreciation to those who contribute positively to our life. And so that's where I really love being able to do this. So taking time, for example, at the beginning to really thank Kim in the things that she has done. And, you know, everyone actually that is on this, you all have contributed to my life. One, just by being here and showing up. That is I genuinely appreciate. And so it's those things, just having that simple thank you to others and sharing that thanks with them. And all of that gratitude really creates a ripple effect. So when you mention your appreciation, it can inspire others to act similarly. And it reinforces a cycle of giving and receiving. This not only enriches your life, but also promotes the positive environment that we're also seeking. All right, give me a minute. I'm going to have some hot tea because my throat's starting to get to me. Ooh, yeah. All right. I have Bryce here who said, I find the rewards are so much more meaningful when you have no expectations from them. For example, even the smallest thank you means a lot more when I'm not expecting to receive a thank you for something I do. Agreed, 100%. It's not having that expectation. Maria also added, my jam is give it away. The summary is, if you want more love and joy, give it away. So I love that, Maria. All right, so let's dive into the money side. The law of compensation states the amount of money and rewards that we earn is closely related to specific factors. So the need for what we do. If there is a strong demand and a necessity for our skill or service that we provide, our compensation is likely to be higher. So think about that. What do you do that is different? Even if you're, let's just take Bryce, I just pulled him up, a salesperson. Think about all of the salespeople that are in the world. How can you make your skill a desired skill when there's lots of salespeople in the world? But what is it that can make you unique and draw a stronger demand for your skill and your service. And so when you start to think about that, it's learning, it might require learning more. It might be doing more of these types of things. So going to more podcasts and understanding how people differentiate themselves. Or if we start to look at other things, AI, for example, is coming up. Well, what could we do that would be a need or have a strong demand related to that? What type of skills do we need to gain? And then think about that higher compensation. So this is actually one of the things we do at our company is that we look at investing in the employees that we have and helping them to continue to expand upon their skills. I actually encourage people to be on LinkedIn. And a lot of companies are like, no, like, that's just for seeking jobs. But when you keep people from doing those types of things, you're actually telling them you're in scarcity mode. I can't lose you, but instead focus on how it is that you continue to build people up, because that's where things will then come back to you. And I'll give you an example. My marketing manager has given their resignation. Now, I might be upset about this, but actually, I'm very happy for her. She is actually going to be starting her own business. She's already started multiple businesses, but she's doing a new thing in working and buying another company. So she is in the process of doing that. And so a part of that, I have to search for someone else. But one of the cool things about it is that because I have a good relationship with this person, they're actually going to continue to help out in finding this new person and building and training up the new person that we have. She's actually interviewing with me. And so, how many times do you have that type of relationship with people, or have the ability to be able to then utilize someone that is leaving to be able to help you to find the next person? And she has a strong demand. She's amazing. And so I can see that she's going to continue to grow. I also think that, those things have happened with other people that we have had, but I want that for them. I love that for them. I want to be able to utilize them and be able to help them grow as much as I can. But I also recognize that sometimes people need to leave. Sometimes people need to evolve and grow and go beyond where it is that you're at. So think about the need for what you do. Is it a strong demand and necessity for the skill and service that you provide that will bring that higher compensation? And then your ability to do it. So your level of expertise, skill, and competence really plays a critical role. So the more proficient you are at what you do, the more value you bring, which can then lead to greater financial rewards. Keep in mind that sometimes those financial rewards don't come immediately. I was with my company for multiple years. And then because of that extra work or those extra things that I was willing to do and invest in, the right time ended up coming where I then got the opportunity to become an owner. So it's understanding and being with people that are in alignment with you and understanding that your investment will be seen. Those the extra effort that you're putting in will be recognized. It's also understanding that it may not come immediately. And then, is there difficulty in replacing you? If your role is specialized and hard to fill, then your compensation will reflect that. So the more unique and essential your contribution, the more you can command in terms of payment. And so think about that as well in the things that you do. A lot of times there are people that can be easily replaced because their skill set is not unique in what it is that they do. How else can you provide value in what it is that you're doing to be able to then demand more in terms of payment? And so it's really about shifting your mindset and understanding more about the nature of money. Money attracts awareness, not need. So money flows towards awareness rather than that need. And so, what does that even mean? Financial abundance is more likely to come to those who are aware of opportunities, possess a mindset of abundance, and actively seek to create value rather than those who simply feel a desperate need for money. So, how do you do that? Awareness. This refers to our conscious of possibilities, trends, opportunities, and also our own skills. And involves recognizing where you can add value and how you can leverage that skill or resource effectively. It's also having a mindset of abundance. And that mindset focuses on growth and possibility that will attract money. So when individuals believe that there are ample opportunities to earn and that wealth is attainable through innovation and creativity, they are more likely to succeed in finding that financial resource that they're seeking. And so focus on need versus, or think about need versus abundance. So while need can create a sense of urgency, it often leads to desperation, which can hinder clear thinking and decision making. It gets back to that scarcity mode that we talked about earlier. In contrast, awareness encourages a proactive approach, allowing individuals to identify and seize opportunities that may lead to financial gains. So, attracting wealth, you have to recognize their inherent inability to draw in financial abundance. And so, focus should be on cultivating awareness of the opportunity rather than fixating on what one lacks. So break free from the lack of mentality. Many individuals begin each day centered on their financial shortcomings. So staring at that empty bank account or feeling burdened if you have unpaid bills or living in constant, state of begging or hoping or wishing or, wanting that change. But this mindset actually perpetuates the cycle of lack and discouragement. So what do we need to know? We need to focus on the energetic nature of money. Money is energy. Money responds to energy and mindset. So when you vibrate with feeling of lack, fear, and doubt, you push money further away. Understanding this truth liberates you to change your financial situation. So expecting wealth, transition from needing money to expecting it. Cultivating an expectation of wealth creates that magnetic force that attracts resources, opportunities, and people in your life. So it isn't just about thinking about the money, it's also about those other things, as we talked about, that may come into your life to have you feel rich without it. Rich that it will just come. And the fear is the problem. When you fear it might, whatever, you are really expecting it. So, as we talked about, if you were to lose your job, lose money, what is your mindset? I can tell you, mine is, um, I know I'll have what I need to do. I have the ability to do it. And that is where a lot of people tend to fall down, is that they don't have the belief in themselves. They haven't built up that resilience in knowing and being able to willing to take on that extra stuff with maybe without the extra compensation, but it will help you learn to get to that next level. So really think about your relationship with money and what you were taught about when you were younger. And so to become a magnet for wealth, you must embody that mindset of prosperity. And that includes developing confidence in your abilities, embracing that energetic perspective of abundance, and escaping that survival mode. So, getting out of that trapped survival mode, waiting for miracles or handouts, true wealth comes from alignment from your inner power and stepping into that confidence that we talked about. And so the power of thoughts is really about shifting that focus. Your thoughts shape your financial reality. What you focus on expands. I want to say that again. What you focus on expands. So, what are you focused on? If you dwell on scarcity, you perpetuate lack. Recognize that your income relationships, and overall success are reflections of your thinking pattern. Do you think you're not worthy? Do you think, well, I don't understand why? And so figuring out what it is, the limitations that are holding you back. You can't attract wealth while maintaining a mindset of scarcity. So instead, train your mind to expect abundance, believing that opportunities are within reach. And change begins with consistent thinking patterns that promote wealth. So you have to take action. And we've talked about that earlier. So decision is the first step towards success. Say enough is enough and commit to the vision of abundance. And your present situation doesn't dictate your future. Your decisions shape what comes next. So transform that fear into action. Taking action, regardless of fear, is crucial. And so the most successful individuals act with conviction and clarity, trusting in their ability to manifest their desired outcome, even when uncertainty looms large. And so when you consistently act towards your goals, you create momentum. And that momentum is vital in turning that seemingly impossible into reality and allowing you to become someone greater than you ever imagined. And the only limits are those that you self-impose upon yourself. So shift your mindset from passive wishing to active pursuing. Challenge yourself instead of looking for mere excuses or, making whatever it might be on why it is you can't do things. Choose to rise and embrace your potential. So reject those limitations. It's essential to break free from the societal conditioning that's associated with money, with the guilt and the scarcity. And wanting more is not greedy, it's a natural expression of desire to thrive and to create. And so your desire for wealth and abundance is valid. Own it without apology and understand that when you become wealthy, you empower yourself to help others. And then do that. Help others. Decide how you take control of your mind and your destiny. Wealth doesn't just happen, it cultivates through belief in self and unwavering commitment to your goals. So the true change comes from taking consistent action, regardless of current feelings or circumstances. And so remember, motivation often follows action, not the other way around. So that is the law of compensation today. And it's not just about receiving what we give, it's empowering the principle guiding us towards a life of purpose and balance. And it reinforces that our positive contributions will eventually be recognized. And so by embracing this law, we can instigate a cycle of positivity that enriches our lives and benefits others. And so remember, the universe rewards those who contribute positively to the world. And so I want to wish everyone a happy Friday. Thank you for staying on, for those that stayed on. Thank you to those that are checking out this after the fact. And again, I just want to give my sincere thank you for everyone that joins me. I really appreciate it. And I wish the best for you. And I hope that you guys reap what it is that you are desiring in life. Have a great Friday. I will see you next week with a panel, so be sure to join us.